Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of Scream 6. Scream 6 is the sixth film in the Scream franchise. It's following relatively close on the heels of Scream from last year, which is the fifth film in the franchise. Going forward, I will probably just refer to it as Scream 5. If you know Scream, you know that even the title of that last film was kind of in reference to some of the commentary on legacy sequels. Kind of like Halloween. They have Halloween, skipped everything, legacy sequel titled Halloween. And a couple of other franchises have done that as well. This is the second film from the Radio Silence production team. If you don't know, Radio Silence is a team of a producer and two directors named Matt Bettinelli Oakland and Tyler Gillett. And I really enjoyed their take in Scream 5. And Scream 5 was one that I missed in theaters, but I got around to seeing it and I really liked it. Scream 5 might have been one of my favorite of the franchise. I don't know if I will say it's my second favorite behind the original, because the sequel is still good, and I still did like the fourth one. Third's probably my least favorite, but I will say if it's not number 2, it's probably right under that. So I have some high hopes here for Scream 6. But before I go any further, go ahead and like the video, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can receive notifications when I upload my next video. So Scream 6 follows the same 4 core characters that we were introduced to in Scream 5. And in this installment, they leave Woodsboro and they go to New York, trying to kind of escape what they dealt with the Ghostface killing. This stars Melissa Barea as Sam Carpenter, Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter, Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks Martin, and Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy Meeks Martin. So those are the 4 main characters that you follow. Sydney is not in this. In real life, there was contract disputes. She felt like they weren't giving her a fair offer based on all that she's given to the franchise. And so she just decided that she was not going to be in this one. And that worried me for a little bit, because Scream is Sydney. But I feel like that they handled this in a really nice way. This first part of the review will be spoiler free. I will get into some spoilers later on. I will let you know when that happens, so don't worry. Everything up until I let you know will be spoiler free. They immediately mess with the audience's expectations, and I absolutely love it. They did such a great job of continuing these characters, making their next steps in their journeys feel real. It feels like a natural evolution of the characters. They don't necessarily feel like they're in the exact same place, but they don't go as far as just completely changing the characters. I feel like the way they approach those characters starting out in this film is awesome. This Scream movie is probably one of the more brutal Scream movies, so keep that in mind if you're wanting to see it. If you're a little bit squeamish on things, this might can serve as a little bit of a warning about what you're going to get into. It's a little bit more brutal and gruesome than, I would say, the majority of the other Screams. I don't think anything was excessive, but in terms of Scream, I do think it might have been a little bit more brutal than the majority of the rest of the franchise. I think all of the performances were great. I really didn't care for Mindy and Chad in Scream 5, but maybe it's because they had more time dedicated to them in this, Maybe it's because the actors settled in to their characters a little bit more. They got more comfortable. The script, whatever. I really enjoyed their characters a lot more, and I felt myself rooting for them more than I did in Scream 5. Now, Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barea are awesome. I love their dynamic. I love their sister dynamic. Like, I really believe that they're sisters. They do such a good job together. And I think that casting back for Scream 5 was great. This isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailers, but they also bring back Hayden Panettiere from Scream 4. And I thought her character was a welcomed addition. I am glad that they decided to keep her alive and have her character in this. I like the evolution of her character from when we last see her to when we see her now. And I think she did a great job. I think everything was shot extremely well. The cinematography was really well done. I think they make the best use of lighting and the atmosphere that they can. This is not like a Jason Takes Manhattan kind of setting shift. There's a couple of sequences in this where they do kind of get to use like the layout of New York City and just the kind of overall setting to make a really interesting kind of set piece. And I really enjoyed it. There were so many times where like I could just feel my heart pounding. It's almost like you could cut the tension in the air with a knife. Like, they built up suspense so well and they paid it off so well. I feel like that's one thing they really succeeded with in Scream 5, and they continue to succeed with that here in Scream 6. I don't remember being disappointed by a jump scare, which there's not a ton of jump scares, but that's one thing that could happen. You know, you're building up tension. A lesser filmmaker would build up tension and then kind of release it at the wrong time with a fake jump scare, real jump scare, whatever. But they're not afraid to let tension build and build and build and build, but they pay it off the right way at the right time. This might be one of the most intimidating Ghostfaces, I guess that's what you call them, that we've ever had. Every time Ghostface would show up, you felt like everybody who was there was in major danger. I like the story overall. I really like the characters. I will say some of the negatives I have are that there are some characters I feel like are kind of underdeveloped. I wish that we had seen some more from them, maybe got a little bit more substance. I feel like that might have helped a little bit in just kind of furthering the story and kind of making everything completely well-rounded. It was mostly well-rounded, and I really enjoyed the film as a whole, so don't get me wrong. I still really enjoyed it, but there's just some parts of it, particularly, I guess, with some of the characters, that I really feel like they could have used a little bit more time. But the four main characters that we follow, I feel like they did such a great job with them that I can forgive a little bit of the more tertiary characters, I guess I could say, not being as well-rounded as I would want them to be. And I think the whole kind of premise of why Ghostface is here is very interesting. I think the whole kind of whodunit thing they handle really well throughout the bulk of the movie. I will say kind of toward the end, I don't know 100% how I feel about the reveal of the Ghostface killer. I understand their motivation, but I just don't know if I buy it all the way, if that makes sense. I understand it, don't know if I fully buy into it. So that last confrontation is kind of up in the air for me. I guess it's part negative, part positive. The things that happen in that final confrontation, I think is well done. and it's interesting what they do with it. However, kind of what leads to it, and kind of some of the reveals that are there, I don't know if I'm fully behind, but I will go ahead and say it is definitely not the worst Ghostface killer reveal in the franchise. So I think you're safe on that if that's one thing you're worried about. So overall, I really liked it. I feel like I liked it more than I was expecting to. I really liked the four main characters more in this film than I did in the last one. I felt more connected to them, and I was rooting for them more in this one than in Scream 5. And of course, it's nice to see Courtney Cox, the last one of the three original main characters. She did a good job in this in relatively limited screen time because they were really trying to focus on this new generation of characters, which, like I said, I think they did a great job of that. Some of the more side characters, I feel like they didn't flesh out enough, and kind of the Ghostface killer reveal, I think might have been a little bit weak, even though I understood the motives. Didn't really buy into it. But overall, I did enjoy the story that they had for us. And I really want to see another one. That was really the first thing that I thought of when I came out of the theater. I was like, wow, that's really good. They did a really good job with it. I want to see this crew do another one. Go ahead and give me Scream 7. Whatever you want to call it. Give it a colon in the title or something. Make some sort of other commentary. There's a chance that this might be my second favorite Scream movie, right behind the original. I really like it, and it might grow on me more with time. But right now, I would say I am sitting at a 4 out of 5, and who knows, it might go up a little bit over time, because the more you think about it, the more it sits with you, the more you might like it. So those are my quick spoiler-free thoughts on Scream 6. I would recommend seeing it, but now it starts the spoiler section. This won't be too long. I'm just going to go into a couple spoilers, get into a little bit more detail of some of the things I liked and didn't like. So if you have not seen the movie, you don't want to know anything more about it, don't want to hear any details, this is your sign to stop now. Spoilers are starting now. One of the themes of the story that I don't necessarily know if they 100% hit nail on the head with was the whole kind of Tara talking to Sam, saying like, you have to let me go. That line comes back in a big way there at the end where she's hanging off the balcony and she's like, oh, you have to let me go. I feel like that was a little bit cheesy. That could have been done a little bit better, I think. But getting into the actual Ghostface killer reveal, first, I'll go ahead and do that before I talk about some of the sequences specifically that I really liked. Like I said, I understand what he was saying. It's the cop character. I can't remember his name. I know him as Gavin from Friends. But his son was Richie, and there was two other Ghostface killers. Although I guess technically he wasn't a Ghostface killer. He was kind of the mastermind behind it. So I guess technically the two actual killers was his daughter, Quinn, and his other son, which I can't remember the name of right now. See, that's one of the things. Those two characters, what I'm talking about, they didn't get rounded out enough. And that other character, I also can't remember her name. She was the one who died when Ghostface flipped her off the ladder going in between the two apartments. I wish I had known more about that character. I wish I had cared more about that character. I wish I had cared more about Quinn and about the other son. So the reveal there, I was like, I don't know. I really didn't know about that. I do even like how they kind of make you think for a second, wait, is it Kirby? Is she the killer? I was kind of on the fence on that because kind of hoping yes, kind of hoping no. Yes, because seeing Hayden Panettiere as a killer as Ghostface probably would have been really cool. That would have been an interesting thing for her to do. And I think she would have done a great job. On the other hand, I really like her character and I did not want her to be a villain. A couple of my favorite sequences in this was the convenience store. I love that sequence in the convenience store where they run to the convenience store and Ghostface chases them. He basically kills everybody else in there, grabs the shotgun, they're hiding. Like, that scene had my heart beating out of my chest. And just seeing him like, Ghostface with a shotgun is really cool. I love the idea of them using the actual masks from the different killers, dropping them off at the different crime scenes, kind of counting down. I think that was a really cool touch. I really did like the sequence with Ghostface and Gale in her apartment. The other sequence I really liked was the subway sequence. That was just so well done. That's another one of those sequences I was talking about where it's like you can cut the tension in the air with a knife. Like, that is so well done. I love the use of that setting. I love the use of the lighting and everything. I'm so glad I got to see it. My wife is not into scary movies, but she went and saw this and she even enjoyed it. She hid behind a blanket for a little bit of it, but she handled it and she did a good job. So that's it from me. But don't forget to leave this video a like. Hit subscribe. It really helps out a lot. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified for when I upload my next video. And I'll see you next time.